London's biennial Lift Festival showcases quirky and offbeat art at its best. Partnering with the city's major arts venues, theatres, galleries and a handful of out-of-the-way spaces, audiences are treated to some radical and exceptional work.
For more than 35 years, Lift has been a staple of London's art scene. Every 2 years, the city explodes with creativity in June and July. World-class artists armed with radical imaginations get to showcase work that questions the nature of theatre, tackles the big themes of our time, and captures the incredible diversity of the city's communities. One story at a time, and with a little magic thrown in.
I have seen magic, real magic, pouring like syrup over the city's skyline.
From multifaceted performances by Tokyo-based Toko Nikado's Miss Revolutionary Idol Berserker to internationally acclaimed multi-skilled circus artist Circa, audiences can catch a show in a variety of venues, from Barbican and Sadler's Wells Theatre to East End graveyards and some historic music halls. Lift 2016, led by artistic director Mark Ball, will be the most ambitious festival yet, with playful and gripping works from over 14 countries, including Argentina, Belgium, Poland, Japan, Australia, the US, and Syria.
I have seen it all, because I was here, in a city that's coloured in defiance, coloured in magic.
To help us further explore the Lift Festival, we're joined by the festival's artistic director and chief executive, Mark Ball. Mark, hello and welcome. Tell us what the Lift Festival stands for. How did it launch and what does it hope to accomplish?
Well, Lift is about opening up London through the arts internationally. Lift was started in 1981 by two amazing young women who recognised that London is an incredibly international city. There are 307 languages spoken here. And yet at the time, in the early 80s, there was very little international theatre and dance and music being presented here. So Lift very simply tries to bring some of the best, most exciting, most outstanding work from around the world and connect it to London and connect it to the diversity of London. And I have to say, in a week where we're facing the European Union referendum, opening up London to the world through arts and culture feels more important than ever.
Right, well, the festival hosts a wide and varied range of productions. What are the criteria to be included in this festival?
Well, I think there are three really important things. I mean, the first one is really obvious. The work has to be really genuinely outstanding. I have a very fortunate job. I travel the world. I get to see a lot of theatre and dance and music. And I take a call on whether the work is of a high quality enough to come over to London. But more importantly, I think it has to really connect to London's audiences. We know a lot about our audiences because we carry out huge amounts of research about them, and they're young, they're very curious about the world, they're quite sophisticated, they're a generation that grew up with mobile phones and digital technology, so they're a savvy, cultured audience with quite high expectations. So the work has got to meet their interests and meet their demands, which means often it's got to be a bit more quirky, it's got to sit outside the mainstream, it's got to be a bit more unusual. And thirdly, because we're about opening the doors to international work, it's about also making sure that we're telling some really interesting, rich stories about what's going on globally, helping London's audiences lift their eyes above London to stories that are happening all over the world that can be of real interest and real excitement.
Right. Mark, in 2012, you were named by Time Out and The Stage as one of the 10 most influential people in British theatre. Any advice for artists and performers from around the world?
I think, very simply, I think my advice would be persevere. It's a tough industry, it's a tough profession. You know, you get a lot of knockbacks, and we try and do quite ambitious work that sometimes people are slightly curious and scratch their heads about when we're explaining what it is that we do. And what I've learned to do is to not take no for an answer. You really have to persevere. If you have a vision, if you have a dream, lots of people will tell you you're not going to achieve it. But just stick with it, persuade as many people as you can to believe in you, and as I say, really persevere. If the idea is good enough, you'll always find a way of making it happen.
Right, there's always going to be naysayers. Well, this year is the festival's most ambitious year yet. It's currently running until the 2nd of July. Tell us some of the highlights.
Well, we've got 25 productions from all over the world. We've had shows which have had brought together Argentinian and British soldiers who fought against each other in the Falklands War of 1982. We've currently got an amazing show by an Australian circus company in a cemetery at night, in a deconsecrated cemetery. Very atmospheric piece about the space between life and death. And coming up over the next 2 weeks, the final 2 weeks of the festival, we have a really brilliant show from Australia called Meeting. Really highly innovative dance piece where choreographers have set a piece of dance to be accompanied by these very robotic machines. We have a piece from Belgium performed by 13 young teenage girls about their experience of life on the cusp of adulthood. So we've got lots and lots of really exciting work coming up. And one of the things that we've got starting on Wednesday at the Barbican is a crazy, brilliant show from Japan with the rather unusual title, Miss Revolutionary Idol Berserker, a show I saw in Yokohama, 30 young Japanese kids on stage giving what I can only describe as a kind of whirlwind onslaught of Japanese youth culture. It absolutely typifies the kind of things that we like to do at LIFT, to really surprise people with a different culture and a different type of experience.
Well, Mark Ball of LIFT Festival, thank you very much for joining us from our London studios.